and you think about what value to the organization as a whole.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, I'm not, when I say the paradigm shift will be, I think in the future, that you trust the tools and therefore have less human. I'm not suggesting that one day we're not going to have humans forecasting. I don't think that'll ever go away. My point is, when I see the future, how the whole organization become huge competitive advantage for the company is when I think of my experience at Palo Alto Networks. And it's still the case for a lot of companies today. Like virtually every CRO or sales ops VP I speak to is still pretty similar to this. Weekly forecast. Think about what that means. And I often have. You have a middle level manager that basically has, let's call it 8 reps and 8 SEs or whatever, or less or more, whatever. But they then have to think about Palo Alto Networks, we have weekly forecasting. And that means that I've got to have 8 meetings internally with sales and maybe with SE. So that's maybe 16, or maybe they're together. So, still lacking productivity, but 8 to 16 meetings a week. I've got to collate that information. I've got to think about it. I've got to have a meeting with my manager, and quite often with my manager's manager, right? So weekly you're up to, I don't know, you don't think about this, but it's 10 to 20 meetings on just forecasting. And if you're sort of sitting there listening to this and going, we don't do that, go ask, and ask genuinely, not tell. Go ask. I still ask, and I'm still hearing the same type of number. Now think that through, how that can give value to the whole organization if we change that paradigm, right? What I'm saying here is that we could start to say, okay, let's do that monthly because we trust the tool. And what that would mean, I ran about a $2.5 billion number. And I often thought about this in today's world when I was at Intel Security. If the biggest thing that we had an attrition rate, we're always trying to get, what is our yield? How many reps do I need to deliver $2.5 billion? If I could have the same amount of reps and release them for let's call it 16 meetings, right? Or the rep or the manager from 16 meetings and the rep from 2 or 3 or 4 meetings a week onto customer activities, let's call that 20%. It's probably more, but let's be conservative and call that 20% productivity in yield that you can truly do. And that's what we've always been looking for, how to release the reps and the managers to true productivity. Of $1 billion sales organization, that's hundreds of millions of dollars in yield, right? If I can truly release the paradigm and actually have the value of what sales, revenue generation, forecasting, and single integrated platforms can do for us, that's the ability across the whole organization to release that type of yield to a CRO and to the organization.